Ladies and gentlemen, it has happened again. Assassin's Creed Rift was once again leaked a couple days ago on Twitter, and since that moment we found out that it not only has a new name, but it has been officially announced by Ubisoft as Assassin's Creed Mirage. So a few days ago on Twitter, this image was leaked. An image that comes from a quest in Assassin's Creed Mirage, potentially a pre-order bonus or something like it. And after frantically scrambling around to try and get this leak under wraps, to try and, delete it off the internet, Ubisoft realized that they could not hide it anymore. And so they made an official announcement with a new piece of artwork related to Assassin's Creed Mirage. Now this image shows who we can only assume is Basim ibn Ishaq, who for months now has been rumoured as the protagonist of this next game. And we see him in Baghdad in the 800s, leaping I don't know exactly where from, with a single hidden blade on the underside of his wrist, in Levantine robes with blue intonations, as well as an eagle behind him, which we can only assume is relating to the eagle drone mechanic, which for some bizarre reason will be making a return, because it seems that every single human before about 1000 AD had a controllable eagle. I guess that's just a thing that people had. I mean, I didn't realize myself, but if it's historically accurate, what can you do? The big leak that came out a few days ago, though, revealed a lot of new information about the game, as well as confirming other information that we had already heard in the past. According to the Codex Network, Assassin's Creed Mirage would be a return to basics. It would have no leveling, it would be set in Baghdad, Iraq, between 860 and 870 AD, starring Basim ibn Ishaq. It would be RPG elements scaled back, it would have no dialogue options, no multi-protagonist, as any single-player game should have. It would include visions of Loki and control of Basim, which I can only assume is a complete rip-off of the entire concept of Eivor's story arc in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Eagle Vision will be making a return, as well as the drone bird. So they're really just taking everything that they've included in the last few games and supposedly getting rid of them. The soft reboot that we saw in Origins is supposedly coming to an end, and this appears to be a classic Assassin's Creed game. But as highlighted by the title of the game, Mirage, appearances can be very, very deceiving, because Assassin's Creed Mirage is going to be built on the same engine as Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's going to be built using assets from Assassin's Creed Valhalla as well as assets from the DLC, which means that Assassin's Creed Mirage will not be a return to the highly focused, linear narrative, parkour focused, combat focused, stealth focused games that we had back in 2007, 2009, 2010, 2011. No, this is not a return to classic Assassin's Creed. This is modern Assassin's Creed with a new coat of paint. This is modern Assassin's Creed with Assassin's Creed 1's aesthetic. This, to put it very simply, is a mirage. It's an attempt at Ubisoft to regain some hardcore fans. It is an attempt to present as if they understand their series anymore. It is an attempt to give consumers the idea that they are restoring the series' soul and the series' identity, when in reality the series' identity is so split due to the last 5 games that there is simply no way to recover it. Because the fan base is now so big and so split, you have people that want Assassin's Creed games to be like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and meanwhile you also have people that want Assassin's Creed games to be like Assassin's Creed 1. It seems like the compromise that Ubisoft has made is including iconic iconography, yeah, that's what iconography means, Joe, without actually going down to the core fundamental gameplay and the experience of the game and changing it, adapting it, and building it around the assassin fantasy. On top of that, this game seems to be a prequel to the story of Basim, which is truly bizarre to me, because we know where Basim ends up. He ends up in the modern day. It seems that this game is going to act as a prequel in which we see how Loki overtakes Basim's mind, something that Odin tried to do to Eivor but was unsuccessful in. However, it very much feels like a story that doesn't need to be told. It feels like a story that is already told. We already know the culmination of Basim's story. And although seeing his relationship with Hytham could be interesting, and we could see how that's broken down by Loki's influence, it is still a bizarre choice, and it's pretty clear to me that the only reason this time setting has been chosen is 1, because they have Basim as an asset already, and 2, to pander to the hardcore fans like myself in an attempt to gain our money. But honestly, with this weirdly rushed announcement, this clearly unplanned marketing scheme, I don't see this game as anything more than filler. I truly believe that this game is going to act the same way Assassin's Creed Rogue did. Simply a rushed, short, shallow title that is only there to appease the fans and make Ubisoft a little bit of extra money whilst they're working on their grand MMORPG. Because keep in mind, just because this game is being made, it by no means means that this will be the future of the games going forward. In fact, I think Ubisoft are going to use this game specifically as an excuse to not return to that formula. I think that Ubisoft will use this more narrative-focused, more linear style of game to justify not making these types of games in the future. They're going to see it underperform, they're going to see it not make as much money as Assassin's Creed Valhalla did, which is undoubtedly going to happen, and they're then going to extrapolate that to the entire fanbase and imply that that is not what the fanbase wants. In essence, this is the easiest way for Ubisoft to make it look as if they are putting effort back into Assassin's Creed, to make it look like they care about Assassin's Creed again. But I truly believe that all it is going to be is a temporary addition to the franchise. It does nothing to push the story that Darby McDevitt set up before onwards. That does nothing to innovate. It completely lacks the atmosphere and the tension of the Assassin's Creed 1 Assassin Fantasy, and that in essence is going to simply feel like an Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC. Walshy put it better than I ever could when he said that if I saw this poster 5 years ago, before the absolute bullshit, the terrible consumer practices, and the terrible workplace practices of Ubisoft, I would probably be over the moon with what this game looks like. However, it's been too long, we've seen too much, I know this company too well, and I can see straight through this Mirage for what it is. A quick and shallow attempt to milk the last dregs of cash that any hardcore fan would be willing to put into the series at this point.